Hello, children. The lesson which we are going to discuss today is A Truly Beautiful Mind. This is a short biography of Albert Einstein, who is known all over the world as a genius, a scientific genius who gave to the world the theory of relativity. Why he is called genius? Genius means an extraordinary person who has an extraordinary mind, extremely intelligent person. So he is regarded as that in the world. And now, as the introduction goes here, you can see here. See, he took the world by storm in the year 1905 when he was 26-year old and published in quick succession four groundbreaking papers. Groundbreaking papers means innovative papers, pioneering papers which had not been published by any other scientist before him. They are called the innovative or groundbreaking or pioneering papers. And these papers were about light, the motion of particles, the electrodynamics of moving bodies, and energy. And he changed forever our understanding of space, time, and the entire cosmos. That's why he is regarded all over the world as a genius. Okay, and his genius still reigns even after his death. This is what has been told to you in the introduction of the biography. Now, let's begin with the first paragraph. Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in the German city of Ulm. By birth, he was a German. Okay, and his mother, when he was a small child, didn't think much of him. She thought that he is a freak. Freak means an abnormal child because he had a too large head. His head was much too large, and that's why Albert Einstein's mother thought that he is a freak. He is not a normal child. Okay. Then the second paragraph, you see, even if he was 2.5 years old, he had not learned talking. He was not talking at all. Okay, and whatever he uttered twice. And he didn't have friends. He did not know what to do with other children. He liked right from the beginning to live in isolation. He had a reserved mindset right from the beginning. So his playmates called him Brother Boring because they didn't like his company, nor he liked their company. So he kept alone most of the time. Okay, so it shows that right from the childhood, he had a very, I mean, a different bent of mind, and in isolation, he might be thinking something uh, different, different from what the other children of his age normally used to think. So the youngster played by himself because he had no friends, as we have seen. Okay, he played by himself, and much of the time he was alone, and he loved mechanical toys where the machine is fitted and which work mechanically, automatically. The toys work. Such toys he liked. Okay, and when his sister was born, newborn sister, her name was Maza, and he had made a remark. Okay, it's fine, but where are her wheels? That means it shows that he had a mechanical bent of mind. Well, then the third paragraph, my dear boys and girls. Uh, when he was a child and he went to school, his headmaster didn't think much of him, and he had told his father that he will never make a success in anything. Okay, in whatever profession he goes in future, I don't think he's going to make any success in anything. His headmaster was of that opinion. Okay, uh, but when uh, Einstein was 6 year old, he started playing violin because his mother prompted him to play violin. She wanted that he should learn playing violin, and he started playing, and he was, of course, an amateur violinist. Amateur means just in contrast with a professional. He was not professional violinist, but he was a gifted one. And throughout the life, till the end of his life, he used to play violin beautifully. Okay. Then the fourth paragraph is like this. It is on the screen. You can see. It is told, you are told that he was not a bad pupil. Pupil means student. Okay. He was not so bad as his earlier headmaster had judged about him. Okay. He went to high school in Munich. Munich is a city in Germany. I have marked it here. You see, it's a city in Germany, and and in Munich, Einstein's family had moved when he was 15 years old. Actually, you'll see in this life story, in this biography also, and you know about this Einstein, that he was not a Christian, he was a Jew. And Germany was a country where they believed in purity of this race. So the treatment which was given to the non-Christians or the Jews was rude kind of treatment, and that's why they were always on the move. They were scared that the uh, uh, German dictators might take any action against their community. Okay, so he went to high school in Munich. We were just reading it. Okay, where Einstein's family had moved when he was 15 months old, and there he scored marks in almost every subject. Good marks he scored in almost every subject. Einstein hated the school's regimentation. Regimentation means strictness. You see, strictness or discipline to the extreme. He didn't like it. The child should be relaxed. He should be given freedom of thinking and freedom of behaving and acting in the school. This was his opinion. That's why that strict regimentation or discipline of the school he hated. Okay, and he often clashed with his teachers on this regard. Okay, and the teachers also were, I mean, having particularly the history teacher, as some of the story goes, he was not he didn't have a very good opinion about Einstein, and that's why he felt there stifled means suffocated. He felt in that school, and he left the school for good. So it was when he was 15-year old. Okay, so he left the school in Munich when he was 15-year old, and he left the school for good because he was always on the loggerheads or in confrontation with the teachers, because his thinking was different and the teachers thinking was different. He didn't believe in learning the things by heart, cramming or memorizing the things. He didn't believe in it. He believed in free thinking. He believed in doing something innovative. Okay, and he believed that if anything new is to be created, freely one should think and experiment and then reach to the logical conclusion. And that's why when there was a question of memorizing or the question of rote memory or learning the things by heart, he didn't like it. He thought that that is not the correct type of learning. He was of that opinion. Okay, then the fifth paragraph, Albert's parents had moved to Milan. Milan is a city in Italy. You see, from Germany they moved to Italy, and further you'll see that Einstein moves to Switzerland to continue his further studies. So they are always on the move. Their family is always on the move. That is what we understand. So Albert's parents had moved to Milan and left their son with relatives. And then he discussed with his family where he should continue his education. And to continue his education in German speaking Switzerland, it was decided that he should continue his education in German speaking Switzerland. In Switzerland, there were some areas where there were German people, because he was basically from Germany. He knew the German language very well. He was well versed in it. So in Switzerland, there were some German speaking areas. Okay, So, and in a city which was more liberal than Munich. Okay. So, in such a city in Switzerland, he should go and continue his education. It was decided by his family. So, in paragraph number 6, my dear boys and girls, Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and physics. So, he goes to and this Germany, and sorry, he goes to Switzerland, and there he starts uh, his further education. Okay, so and he was highly gifted in mathematics and physics. These two subjects were of prime importance for him. And after finishing school, he decided to study at the University of Zurich. Zurich also is in Switzerland. Zurich is a Switzerland. Okay, so he goes and he studies there. But science wasn't the only thing that appealed to the dashing young man with the walrus mustache. Such kind of mustache, as you can see in this picture, are called the walrus. Walrus is an animal, and his mustache looked like walrus, and that's why he's called the man with the walrus mustache. Well, then we go to the next paragraph, as you can see here, paragraph number 7. Okay, he felt a special interest in a fellow student when he was learning in the University of Zurich. There was a girl, and she was from Serbia. A Serb means from Serbia, and her name was Mileva Maric. And he thought that she is a clever girl, and she had come to Switzerland because the University of Zurich was one of the few in Europe where women could get degrees. In all the universities, women were not allowed to take degrees, that we can understand. That's why she was a Serbian girl, which was from a country known as Serbia. This is Europe. Okay, and there she had gone to Switzerland to learn. Okay, and she became uh, Einstein's friend because their interests were matching. Okay, Einstein, how it was, you can see here, Einstein saw in her an ally against the Philistines. Philistines means the people who do not like art, literature, or music. Okay, these art, literature, or music, they don't like. They are called the Philistines. And this Mileva Maric and Einstein, they were interested in art, literature, and music. Of course, he was a scientist. He was the man of physics and mathematics, but he was equally interested. As we have seen that he had learned violin right from the age of 6. He was playing violin, and at the same time, he was interested in art, literature, and music. He was a great humanitarian, actually. Okay, and with these Philistines, that means those who hated art, literature, and art, music, he was always at odds. At odds means not in a very comfortable position, or always quarrelsome, or always in opposition with those who hated these streams of art, literature, or music. Okay, so this was his interest, and this the same was Mileva Merrick's interest. So they became friends. Okay, and there was another reason why he befriended Mileva Merrick. It is given here because Einstein has written, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work on relativity to a victorious conclusion." That means he had the intellectual pursuit and intellectual ambition, and there he thought that this Mileva Merrick will be his partner, so that at the intellectual level also their friendship was there. Well, then we go to paragraph number 8. Then he was 21 years old in the year 1900. Okay, uh, he became university graduate from the University of Zurich in Switzerland, and he was unemployed. So initially, as he was unemployed, he took up the job of a teaching assistant and gave private lessons. And this he continued for about 2 years. For about 2 years, he continued the the job of a teaching assistant. Okay, and he gave private lessons. And finally, after 2 years, he secured a job in the year 1902. In the year 1902, finally, he secured a job as a technical expert in the patent office in Bern. Bern is a city in Switzerland. Okay, and after working as a teaching assistant and giving private lessons for initial 2 years after his graduation, in the year 1902, he became a technical expert in the in a patent office in Bern. Bern is a city, as I told you, in Switzerland. Okay, and what was his job? His job was to assess other people's inventions, scientific inventions. Okay, on relativity and in other spheres. So he used to uh, make assessment of their inventions, their papers. Okay. Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. He is said to have jokingly called his desk drawer. In his desk drawer, he kept the papers of other people's inventions, which he had to assess. Okay, so his desk drawer he called Bureau of Theoretical Physics. Bureau means cupboard or almirah where you keep your goods at home. So Bureau of Theoretical Physics he called his drawer where he kept the papers of the other inventors. This is what we see in paragraph number 8. Okay, then let us go to the next one. Okay, next paragraph. This is paragraph number 9. One of the famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity. Einstein's two theories are very famous. One is general theory of relativity, and another is special theory of relativity. About these two theories, you will get information in this biography about the general theory. There is information in the other page. We'll see that, of course. But in the year 1905, okay, his famous paper was published on the special theory of relativity, according to which time and distance are not absolute. Absolute means they are not independent in themselves. Okay, time has its own importance and value. It can stand independently. Okay, time can stand independently, and distance also can stand independently. And indeed, to how he uh, concluded it, indeed, two perfectly accurate clocks will not continue to show the same time if they come together again after a journey, if one of them has been moving very fast relative to the other. That means two watches, you just match the time and let the watches run for 1 year. After 1 year, you will find that there is a slight difference in the time. Okay, and that's why, see, this time and distance, these are not absolute. This conclusion he reached, and from this uh, conclusion or this theory uh, followed the world's most famous formula, which describes the relationship between mass and energy. And as you can see, the formula is given here. E is equal to mc square. In this mathematical equation, E stands for energy, m for mass, and c for the speed of the light in a vacuum. So this is a famous formula which Einstein gave, and this formula is even known to the scientists today, and it is a gift from Einstein to the coming generation of scientists. Well, let us go to the next paragraph, and this is paragraph number 10, as you can see here. Okay, so now in this paragraph number 10, you are told about his private life. Okay, uh, his private life affairs and his scientific discoveries were going hand in hand. Okay, and he wanted to marry Mileva, the girl which we have seen in the previous paragraph, one of the previous paragraph, that the girl whom he met, the Serbian girl whom he met at the University of Zurich, and he thought that she also has the same intellectual pursuits, so she will be his good life partner, he thought. Okay, so he wanted to marry uh, Mileva, but his mother was, Einstein's mother was against the marriage. There were two reasons. Okay, one reason was this Mileva was 3 years older than her son. She was 3 years older than Albert Einstein. And another reason which Einstein's mother feared that he shouldn't marry this Mileva. Another reason was that Mileva's intelligence. See, she thought she is a book like you. She said, though, so you are a bookworm. She also will be a bookworm. Then how will you be able to carry out your day-to-day, life affairs? Uh, that all, those life day-to-day life affairs also are very important. So one of you, if she or you are a bookworm, it's okay, but both of you are the bookworm. Okay, and you are just busy with the books and your discoveries, then uh, what will be about the what will be about the day-to-day life affairs? And that's why she was against the marriage, for these two reasons. Okay, and that's why for the time being he put off the decision of marrying Mileva. But in the year 1903, finally he married, and he married Mileva, and they had two sons. And their married life was not very happy. It started faltering. Faltering means it became weak. Okay, and the reason, why it started faltering, or it started breaking or falling, collapsing. The reason was Mileva was losing her intellectual ambition and becoming an unhappy housewife. Some sort of differences cropped up between them, and she didn't like him, and he also thought that she is not a fittest partner for him, with whom he can continue his intellectual pursuits. Okay, so years after after years of constant fighting, the couple finally divorced in the year 1919. So in the year 1919, they broke off. Okay, and Einstein married his cousin. Her name was Elsa. In the same year, in the year 1919, Einstein married. This was his second marriage, and this Elsa's and Einstein's couple is known, and his earlier wife is this Miller is forgotten. Okay, even now. Well, then the next next paragraph number 12. Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to the world fame in the year 1915. That means at that time he had not divorced. In 1919 he divorced, and he uh, married his cousin. Just 4 years before his divorce, in the year 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity. In the previous one of the paragraphs, we have seen about the special theory of relativity. So this is another theory which is famous, Einstein's famous theory, general theory of relativity. He published in the year 1915. Okay, and this theory gave a new interpretation of gravity. Gravity means pull, earth pull, you have moon pull, you have The heavenly bodies have pull, gravitation force. So he gave a new interpretation of gravity. Okay, and he said, as it is here, I have marked it here. You see, uh, Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitation field. That means the stars are very far from Earth, okay, and the light is coming towards Earth from those twinkling stars which are very far off, okay. But in the middle, if there is sun, and sun's gravitation force is there, so the sun's gravitation force will deflect the light of the stars, and that deflection, if it is extreme deflection, the light of the stars will not be reaching Earth. So the time which the light takes to reach Earth will be different. Either it will be totally deflected, or it will take some more time to reach Earth, depending on the angle of the star from the Earth. So this is what he had found out, and the newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. So this theory, the general general theory of relativity, which was published in the year 1915, brought a scientific revolution in the world. Okay, then, my dear boys and girls, the next paragraph is paragraph number 13. You see here, it is Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. Okay, and as he became a Nobel laureate, honors and invitations from all over the world started pouring in, and he went to different places and he lectured and told about his papers and his theory. And he was lauded, means praised by the media people. Praise means media people. They praised him for his theory and for the scientific revolution which he had brought. Well, that was about his Nobel Prize. And then paragraph number 14. See, it is very important. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in the year 1933, Einstein emigrated to the United States. Emigrated means he went and settled in the USA. Okay, and 5 years later, that means say some the year 39, year 38, or 1938 or 39. Okay, 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Fission means splitting of atoms. Okay, splitting of atoms. So Germans discovered nuclear fission, and as Einstein was in USA at that time, and the other scientists which had fled from Germany, and they also had settled in the USA, they also become very upset. All these physicists were very upset. Many of them had fled from fascism, just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use the atomic bomb, because now the technique of building or making an atomic bomb was in the hand of Nazis, in the hand of Hitler. So they were very much scared. This is the information which you get in this paragraph. And then let us go to the next paragraph. Paragraph number 15. It is very important. You see, at the urging of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American president Franklin D. Roosevelt on 2nd August 1939. And in that letter, which he wrote to the US president, he warned that a single bomb of this type, that means the atomic bomb, of course, exploded in a port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. Okay, he told the US president. But his words did not fail to have an effect. The gravity, the seriousness of his words were understood by the Americans. And what they did, in a secret project, they made their own bomb. They made their own bomb. Okay, in the year 1939, it was. So, say 1939 to 1945. In between these years, during these years, the Second World War was fought. 1939 to 1945. The Second World War was fought, and this event took place just before the Second World War. Okay, and the Americans in a secret project, secret mission or project, they made or they developed their own atomic bomb. And when the war was at its peak, okay, in the year 1945, the Americans dropped these two atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And these two cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were totally annihilated, totally wiped out. And there was a huge loss of uh, property, property and life after dropping the atomic bomb over these two cities. And it was a very terrific, a terrific experience, because in the Second World War, there were two types of forces. One was called the Axis forces. So Hitler, that means Germany, Italy, and Japan, they were the Axis forces. They were the fascist powers. And on the other hand, there were the Allied powers. Allied powers means Great Britain was there, and the USA was there. Okay, France was there. These were the Allied powers. So, and those Allied powers were for democracy. They stood for democracy, whereas these Nazis and the fascists, they wanted to rule over the entire world. Hitler had an ambition of ruling over the entire world, and this ambition was defeated by the Allied forces after the end of the Second World War in the year 1945. So, in the year 1945, the Second World War came to an end after dropping of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because Japan was advancing in Asian subcontinent, and as the atomic bombs were dropped, it was a very horrific experience for all. Hitler also was killed in Germany, and the World War II came to an end. This is all about paragraph number 15, my dear boys and girls. Then let us go to paragraph number 16. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction caused by the atomic bomb, which was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, as we have seen just now. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations. See, after 1945, UNO, United Nations Organization, was formed. Okay, that was the world body for maintaining peace and tranquility in the world, peace and security in the world. For that, the UN was formed in the year 1945, after the Second World War was over, because the whole world was just horrified by the effects, by the fatal or terrible consequences of war, and they didn't like to fight wars anymore. That's why UN was formed. Okay, and he wrote a public letter. This means a long official letter he wrote to the United Nations, and he proposed that a world government should be formed. That means all countries of the world should come together and form a single world government, in which there would be the representative of all nations, and there will be one single world government. It was a very beautiful concept which Einstein had given, okay, to the United Nations after the Second World War. But unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. That means the countries of the world didn't respond to Einstein's appeal, and till now this world government has not been formed, as you know. Okay, but over the next decade, Einstein got even more involved in politics. Okay, and he he campaigned against arms buildup, and he campaigned for peace and democracy in the world. Okay, he was for peace and he stood for democracy. And this last paragraph, when Einstein died in the year 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary. Visionary means a person who can see the future, who has a who has a very clear vision, clear view of future, what is going to happen or what might happen in future. A clear vision one who has is called a visionary. Okay, so he was a visionary. Okay, one who could see foresee the future, and a world citizen. He was celebrated as a visionary and a world citizen because he was for peace in the world. He had written a letter to the UN for world peace and for forming the world government, which was not done or not accepted by the UN. But he was regarded as a visionary and world citizen, uh, and as a scientific genius. So he was a visionary, he was a world citizen, and he was a scientific genius. He was regarded as these three: visionary, world citizen, and scientific genius. And that's why he is said to be a truly beautiful mind. He was a genius. So this is all about the great scientist Albert Einstein, my dear boys and girls. Okay, and there this chapter is over. This short biography is over. There are questions on this lesson. You do them, and I have given you some extra questions also. You attempt them. Okay, and in case of any doubt, you can contact me anytime, and I will be always at your disposal. So thank you so much. Learn it well, prepare well. In case of any doubt, take my help. Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice time.